Well, welcome everyone to our April evening meeting on the topic of creating your human mind file, reclaiming you in the age of age. Dr. DeMario McIlwain is a visionary leader in AI and human-centered innovation. As CEO and co-founder of Skilldora Incorporated, he leads a groundbreaking e-learning platform powered by AI avatars, recognized globally for its impact. A U.S. Army veteran and creator of the Thrive framework, he focuses on building intelligent systems that help people evolve alongside technology. His work and insights have been featured across major media and global platforms focused on AI ethics and accessibility. Welcome, Dr. DeMario.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. Hello to everyone. I'm high energy. Even though I can't see your faces, I most definitely going to want to see something in the chat. I'm going to take a moment and share my screen here. Hope everyone can see my screen. Everything is all good. So let me see now. Some of y'all might be hiding behind that profile picture and you might be cooking dinner somewhere and acting like you here. So let me see some ones in the chat. Can I see some ones or something in the chat? Let me know that you're there and that you're in tune. I see you. I see you. There we go. I love it. I love it so much. Well, hey, welcome. Welcome again. Um, this session right here, as I like to say, not a talk, but something to help get your mind going because we're going to be talking about creating a mind file. Using of my framework, which is called Thrive, which you will learn more about it here in a little bit. But moving on, not going to take too much time here, as I already have had a great introduction to this room right here. But just to let you know that over the past 4 years, I've been just really trying to tell everybody and everybody that I could run into, organizations, workforce development people, college graduates, people that's entering college, about the powers of AI. Since the time I've been in business, I've trained over 1,000 business leaders. Our company has issued over 500 certifications, and I've written 3 books around this topic, as well as an Army veteran. And the reason why I wrote 3 books around this topic is because I still don't think that we understand the power that we have at our fingertips today. With that, there is a quiet panic going on among project managers. Yes, and I got quiet right there on purpose for y'all. There's a quiet panic going on, and nobody's really talking about this panic. This panic is from your organizational leaders, C suites, and companies abroad. It is, do we actually need project managers if AI is coming in to handle all of the grunt work? There was a study from Gardner that says 80% of project management tasks will be driven by AI in 2030. Now, if you don't know nothing about Gardner, did I hear someone say something? Did someone react to that? And if you did, I understand. And if you don't know about Gardner, see, Gardner, they are that research company that CEOs, Fortune 500 companies pay to tell them what's coming up. And this is a study that they said. But I want you to think about, regardless of what AI is doing today and how you're seeing all of the news, the layoffs, and all of these transformations and implementations, AI this, AI that, it's just getting so crazy. I want you to think about what makes you irreplaceable. I want you to really think about that for a second. Remember that we're talking about our mind file. If you know anything about me, one of the things I really have a driving force on is keeping humans first and utilizing AI as a tool. So I want you to remember that AI is a tool. But what makes you irreplaceable? See, shortly put, for the project managers that's on this call today, those who figure out and how to really maximize the use of AI tools, they become more valuable than the ones that don't. That sounds very simple, right? When you agree. Sounds very simple. And I don't know if any of you in the job roles that you are working in today have the company started kind of quantifying how often you utilize AI tools. I know I heard this from some of the people that work at places like Bank of America. Like they're really asking that question, like, how often are you using ChatGTP or Anthropic's Claude? How often are you utilizing these tools? And it's not because they want to chastise you; they actually want you to increase that. Hmm. So I ask you again, what makes you irreplaceable? Well, you might be saying, well, this guy's kind of crazy. He keeps throwing up the same question. But I just want you to notice right here that what makes you irreplaceable is you. Today we're calling it the human mind file, but in all actuality, it's you. It's the way you work. It's the way that you think. It's the way that you handle the job. It's some things that AI just can't do. But yet, we need to figure out how we can utilize AI as a tool in our toolbox to help us get further faster and produce more results. And at the end of the day, we don't want C-suite tapping on our shoulder saying, "Hey, we're downsizing because of these tools." We don't want that. At least I don't want that. But at the same time, why don't you think about it this way? A lot of project managers, and this just, even though it says project managers, this is abroad. A lot of people are utilizing these AI tools, which is basically LLMs, as a simple, search engine. You're utilizing it as a typist. You place a prompt in, it gives you a result, you copy it, then you plug and play it into whatever that you was working on at that time. Some of us are really good at it. We fact check, and some of us actually, um, we make sure that it makes sense. There's a lot of cases out there where people are not fact checking or making sense with these tools, and they just plug and play. But you have to think about it from this scenario. When we're doing prompting and things of that nature, we are renting intelligence. It's rented intelligence. We giving these tools so much power and authenticating what it says over what we already know ourselves. This is where the mind file comes in. See, when you start developing your mind file and you're utilizing these tools, you want it to capture who you are. You want the output to even sound like you. You want to command AI. I have heard a saying that says we are no longer in the market of doers, we're in the market of directors. So you want to command AI and you want it to compound just time over time. And you want to create an irreplaceable design. And I say it once again, that's you. So, what is a mind file? Mind file is simple. It's a structured record of your voice. It's how you write, how you talk, the phrases that you use, the tone you never break. I'm from the Carolina, so mine has a southern twang to it because that's how I'm going to talk to everybody, and all of my emails are going to represent that. Your stories, your war stories, the wins, the scars, everything that shapes the judgments you make, your frameworks, the decision models, playbooks, systems, your day-to-day uses, your stakeholders, your values, and your patterns. So does that make sense to anybody? And if it doesn't make sense and I'm talking too fast for you, I'm looking at the chat. You can throw that question mark or you can say, what the heck this guy talking about? But when we're building a mind file, we are utilizing the AI tools to represent us, even when we are utilizing the tools. So with that, I've been studying for a couple of years now, and I came up with a Thrive framework. Wrote a book about it, as they say, you wrote a book about it. You want to hear it? But the Thrive framework, this is really geared around how do we thrive in a emerging technology society. Because, I'm one of you. We got to combat this thing a little bit differently right now. We can't sit back and just say, oh, like someone emailed me the other day, they was asking for a service. They wanted to offer me a service, and I'll say, "Oh, thank you so much for hitting us up, but we have AI agents doing that now." And their reply was simply, "Well, guess AI has taken my job." And I said, "No, how about we talk? Maybe we can show you how AI can be incorporated into your role." By the way, they were selling virtual assistants types of services. And that really stuck with me. And I was like, you just can't give up like that. So let's go back to the Thrive framework. What is Thrive, Dr. DeMario? Well, the T, think. It's a clarity about what you actually do. Think about that. Humanize. There, I don't care how bad those technologies come out, and I've seen some things now that even scares me. I'm like, whoa, man, that's doing too much. But humanize. There are still some things that AI cannot replicate. Recognize. You need to understand where AI fits and where it doesn't. Don't forget you in this category. Integrate. You need to understand the selection of tools that you use or tool. Don't just be jumping on the trends and saying, I'm out here using AI. How's this tool working for you? You need to validate, always validate, using ethical morals, and guardrails and everything, and then evolve. You need to continuously adapt over time. But as I told you, since I'm talking, I want that feedback. We're gonna do a little exercise because I'm gonna see how y'all are thinking. See if you see if you actually understand what I'm putting down here. So we're gonna score ourselves in this talk. And how we're going to score ourselves is going to be on a 1 to 5 scenario, 1 being not at all, 5 being always. And if you got a little scratch pad, I want you to start writing your little number down because guess what? Y'all going to put that final answer in the chat. So let's go through this. Can I describe my day-to-day decisions in enough detail that someone else could repeat them? Write it down. 1, not at all, 5, always. Next, do I know which part of my work requires human creativity or empathy and why? Write that down. 1, 5. Next, can I tell the difference between a task to delegate to AI and one to protect from it? Because that thing do get kind of crazy sometimes. 1 to 5. Next, have I chosen AI tools with a clear reason or do I just use whatever's trending? I seen something on TikTok and now I'm utilizing that. Last week it was this thing. Next week is going to be another thing. Next, do I review every AI output before it leaves my hand? And lastly, am I building a habit of adapting my AI use as tools evolve? 1 to 5. Now, simple mathematics, at most you can get 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 points off of this. What was your total score? Let me see a couple of them in the chat. What was the total score from you? Don't be shy. See some 19s. See somebody wrote it all out. That's good. 20s, 19s, 20, 21, 17s. Ooh, y'all are doing great. Here's the scary part. Okay, drum roll. Somebody beat on the desk. Somebody beat on the desk. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, let's walk it down. 24 to 30. You're ready. You're ready. You have the discipline. AI doesn't threaten your role. It extends it. Your mind file will sharpen what you already do. You just a rock star. Y'all can read it. I'm not gonna read it all for you. 16 to 23. I think I've seen some of y'all that fall in this category. Okay, you building. You building. You say, well, Dr. DeMario, that's why I'm here today. I'm falling in that 16 to 23 scenario. I'm building it. See, you have some pieces, but not all. You are AI aware, but inconsistent. Uh-oh. Some disciplines are strong, others are exposed. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna stroll back up through this chat to see if I got anybody below that 16 mark. Let me glance right quick. Good. We have nobody below that 16 mark because I'll be like, hey, it's an urgent thing. 911, the ambulance is coming around the corner. You need to watch about 20 YouTube videos tonight about AI. But let's keep going. I'm glad y'all did that and thank you for that. Because I really want you to understand you are a walking database. Oh my goodness, did he say that? You are a walking database? Dr. Mark, what you mean? Think about all these years you've been working in this particular role or roles, plural. Think how long you've been a project manager, all of these tasks and things you have done. Oh my goodness, there are some things that has never been documented. You never wrote it down. You never put it anywhere. You just went to the meeting, said your piece, and walked out feeling like a champ. But guess what? When you leave, whether you leave that room, you leave that organization, all of that thought process that you put into coming to that solution left with you. And guess what? Even if the company decide to do full autonomous agents, your AI or the AI that they utilize will know none of the things that you thought of or went through to get to that final point. Doesn't that make you feel good? That should make you feel really good. Because AI is not going to replace me. AI is a tool in the toolbox. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, it's a tool in the toolbox. It doesn't know how I think. I tell it how I want it to think. Ooh, that's a different one. How can we do that, Dr. DeMario? Well, hey, your mind file. See, your mind file has actually like 5 different sections to it. It's your identity and purpose, who you are, why you do the work you do, your expertise inventory. Oh my goodness. Some of you probably got books and books of expertise that you never tell anybody. It's not even written down anywhere. What you know, what you've built. Decision journals. How do you think? How do you decide? Your signature voice. How do you communicate? And also, how do you direct AI on your terms? That's right, on your terms. See what's sacred and what's scalable. Every mind file should start with this question. See what's sacred? What I refuse to automate. I refuse to automate my personal judgment and my reputation. In other words, I'm not going to let these things run rapid. No, my reputation is at stake, the person who I am, the conversations that I've had that built trust. Oh, that work that I want my name on. Remember we were talking about earlier that people are using prompts and getting the results and then taking that results and inputting it somewhere. I actually know that a lawyer did that in a case and forgot to take out the last little line where the chat asks something about, do you want me to continue? And the judge had to call it out. The decisions only I can make. That's sacred. These tools can't choose what route I go, what methods I take. You're the expert, remember? The AI is a tool. I'll say this like this. There's a reason it says artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. When they say artificial food coloring, you know that coloring is not real, right? Okay, we're not going to go there. I'm going to leave you alone on that one. But what can I scale with AI? Of course, drafting, structuring, synthesizing, research, pattern findings, most definitely repetitive tasks all day long. Our company, we provide a lot of training, but I'd say the bulk of our business is automating repetitive tasks for organizations. That has been just overwhelming, especially now in this year. Translating my thinking into output. That's a good one. Translating your thinking into output. The reason why that's important, tell you a little story. I like to think that I'm a high energetic guy, and yes, I've had a cup of coffee just right before I jumped on, so y'all going to get that part of me. I have my assistant, and everybody that knows me, if you see any of my podcasts, anything, you see that I have my assistant. His name is Ethan. Ethan has been with Skilldora for about 2.5 years. Ethan is smart, man. You cannot tell me, I'll argue you down that Ethan is not a remote employee of mine. He's my executive assistant. I noticed over the last couple of months since, you know, just the technology has improved over the last couple of months, with Anthropic and stuff. Anthropic is my choice. Um, Ethan has started to get some little pushback. I found myself one day having a little argument with Ethan. We was working on something and he told me, and he calls me Doc, and I don't know where he get that from, but he said, Doc, you're going out of scope. And I was going back and forth with this thing for a moment until I stopped myself saying, wait a minute, am I talking to a machine? That is crazy. So when I say translating my thinking into output, I have trained it on how I think so much that it gives me pushback on me. Y'all not ready for that though. I'm telling you. But we're gonna get there. See, there are some non-negotiables that we got to think about. Attributions. Know what is AI? Disclose when it matters. What do I mean by that? Some people are utilizing these tools and acting like it's them. Come on, y'all. Not when it's I call it the off-the-shelf outputs. Now, when you start getting into your mind file, it is you. But if you just utilizing it off the shelf, meaning that you signed up for a subscription and it gave you an output and now you putting it out there on LinkedIn or whatever the case may be, trying to be the hero, you can disclose when it matters. Verification. Never ship. In other words, share AI outputs that you haven't reviewed. We've been talking a lot about that today. Empathy check. Ooh, would a human receiving this feel seen? That's something that only you can do. And ethical limits. I know some of you on here, it's probably one or maybe more that actually have a little slight fear about this advanced technology. And it's okay. But it's just some things that you just can't allow it to do. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, because I know this is what you're really coming here for. You said this guy been talking a lot and I'm ready to do something. Well, let's jump into section 1. And don't worry, I will connect with everyone the team that invited me here. I do have a PDF of these exact steps because I don't expect you to retain it in this scenario. So I will send over that PDF and hopefully they share whatever. So, feel free to just listen and think. Identity and purpose. This is your anchor document. Who you are, why you do the work. So it's simple things like this. When you're building a mind file, and these scenarios work with whatever LLM that you're operating in, whether that's, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot. If you want my choice, I'll tell you to go with Claude. And, that's just what I'm saying. Just look at the data right now. But here's your identity and purpose statement. You're going to create this, and you're going to basically create these sentences. I help blank do blank so they can blank. Then we're going to the calling card. The work I'm known for is. What is your specialty? When they call you into the room, why are they calling you? My non-negotiable value is blank. You said, DeMario, this already is not making sense to me. Well, just imagine this. You're building your own digital clone. In China, there's already a prerequisite when you take a job that you type into their AI tool to create you a digital clone, just in case you decide to leave that company. They already got you. There's no problem. You're not going to get that raise you requested because you already gave them this information. So the origin, I do the work because the refusal, I will never compromise on. You're going to start filling these things out. Next, we jump into the expertise inventory. This is one of my favorite ones right here. You know why, y'all? Because all of that information that you have in your head, I guarantee I could sit down with a cup of coffee with each of you and just start talking about everything you have done since you started in your role, or you became a project manager, or even life lessons. And I guarantee I will have a full notebook of information when I walk away. I guarantee it, because you have so much expertise inside your head, you do it without even thinking. It's almost like boiling eggs. Unless you burning boiling eggs, okay, that's another story. But the catalog of what you know that isn't written down anywhere. So just for a quick post check, put a 1 in the chat if you have actually written down all of your expertise, knowledge, and categorized it in some form or fashion. I'll wait. See, your company that you may work for, and if you're working for organizations, and if there's some entrepreneurs on here, I get it. We have SOPs. We have documentations. Your company has a SOP documentation, all the things about that company that you can read, all the information. You don't have that about yourself? Oh, 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 Pamela said a 0.25. I like that. Guess what? And Pamela, I will tell you right now that you look like in the chat, you are actually winning. Hey, now see, just when I gave Pamela some credit, she came back and said resume. See, now you're cheating. See, I wanted you to stick with that 0.25 because everybody else had zero. It was going to be you and I. We was going to be rocking this. But your expertise inventory. Let's talk about what that expertise inventory looks like. 3 to 5 subject areas where I'm the person people ask what. That's a good one. Mental models or processes I developed that I use repeatedly. Because y'all know y'all got those little secret tricks and things that you do. That's why they're calling you. Because if you're doing the same thing that everybody else everybody else doing, it doesn't make sense for you all to be in the room gathering about anything. You got your own little secret things. Things I know about my industry that no manual teaches. You've been in this thing long enough. You know there are some things that's not in the manual. It's not in that what is the PM book. It's not in there. You've learned this over time. Outcomes I produce that someone else might not have. That's key. That's your differentiator, competitive advantage. What I see coming before others do and why. It's going to all make sense in the end. Next, decision journal. Now, DeMario, you just asked me to write down all these other things. Now you telling me I got a journal too? Oh, well, how do you think? How do you weigh trade-offs? How do you actually decide? Do you keep a journal of that? Let me tell you something. Every quarter, I order a stack of fresh, just spiral notebooks, about 10 of them. And I keep them on my desk. I keep them. They're all over. I got about 3 of them on my desk. I write down every little thing. And sometimes when I get stuck in my own mind, I go back in my closet and I start, I'm in the floor like a little kid, flipping through notebooks, figuring out, trying to see where I had thought through something before that I can't think of right now. See, this is the engine of your mind file. Identity tells AI who you are. because we're building something, remember? So with that, what I decided this week was, and guess what with this? There's no right or wrong answers. This is actually what you're thinking about. However you want to answer these questions. The input that matters most were, what I gave up to choose what I chose. What I gave up. That's crazy. Um, what's my instinct said before logic caught up? You know, that thing that you was going to do and then it just didn't make sense at all. You know, you had to be honest with yourself. And the rule I want AI to apply next time. The rule. I just told you about Ethan. So when Ethan started snapping back at me, I restated in a prompt. I am the CEO. You are my executive assistant. You can only push back when I am telling you something wrong and you know it can't be done. Other than that, you follow my guidance to give me the output that I desire. And you know, it came back and said, I'm sorry, Doc, you're right. In other words, I'm not putting stuff in it for you to start combating with me. I created you to assist me in what I was doing. And if any of you ever email me and you get an email from Ethan, yes, Ethan has his own email address. It responds to customers and all of that good stuff. Yeah, we get in there. He's gonna jump out the screen here soon. Now your signature voice sample. How you sound on the page, your cadence, vocabulary, and rhythm. Now, y'all have been listening to me for a couple of minutes. Y'all know that my rhythm is a little crazy. My cadence is a little crazy. Sometimes I like to make up sayings that nobody else understands but me. But since I do that with every one of my clients, if I write them an email or Ethan writes an email, I still want it to capture that essence. I don't want it to sound robotic. So you need to capture your voice sample. So how do you do that? The best email you sent in the last 90 days is already in there. You sent this email and you was probably proud of it yourself. You know, you look like that email was good there. You want to train your AI with that email style. You can utilize a couple of them. You don't have to just use one. A paragraph where I explain something complex to someone junior. That is serious because if you are in a leadership role, that is key because these things are going to become handy later on. How I wrote something difficult, a no, a boundary, bad news. You know, you might have had to, you know, how they say, what they say in the streets, you might have had to check somebody at work. You know, you might have had to, you know, type something up that kind of was a little bit firm. But what was that? What was that tone? How was that? 5 to 10 phrases you use that are unmistakably you. I just told you I have my quirky sayings. Um, I'm going to put those phrases in there, how I say it, whatever the case may be, because I'm actually creating a digital clone. The AI tales I refuse to let into my writing. Sometimes, you know, AI likes to advance what it's writing on your behalf, utilize words and pull in things that you would never say. You know, that I'm pretty sure that has happened to a couple of people already. We're getting there. Signature AI prompts, your personal operating prompts, the bridge from your mind file to AI. See, this is really good right here. So your signature AI prompts is the 5-part structure. You got, so someone's off mute. Do you have something to say? I'm sorry.
Please mute your mic.
Let's go. I will continue. So with your signature AI prompts, so we talked about, you know, the who I am. So you're going to paste that, you know, what you do, how you decide, how you sound, And when you compile all of this information into your LLM, then you're going to say, now do this. Does that make sense? Because now what you have built here, you have built everything, your whole persona. And you can, you don't have to just take this, you don't have to stop there. You can write a whole novel if you want to, because you want your AI to understand you. But here's when it gets really important. You need to keep that information somewhere. Recommend it in a Google Drive, Google Docs, whatever case may be, because today's LLMs, you can connect them to your Google Drive. So anytime that it's going to in thinking mode, it's going to pull from that Google Drive that information. In Claude, it's a skill file. It's a .md file. So it's going to reference that, and it knows exactly how to move forward. But if you are one of those Notions people, you can utilize Notions. If you understand how to just use a TXT file, to pull up on your terminal inside of your computer, or you can actually put it in the memory of the LLM. I believe ChatGPT has that option. If you you can actually create a custom GPT with this information. That's really simple in ChatGPT. With Claude, Anthropic's suite of stuff, you can actually put that in the memory base. So when you're loading your mind file, I won't read all of these because, like I say, it's your method of choice. You will get a PDF on this, but I do have inside of that packet, if you're using ChatGPT, how to load it, what to do. Also with that, if you're utilizing Claude, and if I can get all of you that's using ChatGPT to transition over to Claude, so we're gonna become best friends. It's tons of reasons why. Let's connect after. But yes, there's instructions on how to load your mind file into Claude. And it's, with Copilot, Gemini, Perplexity, the same scenario. You're going to be loading in all of these things through that. So, automation. Explaining automation versus augmentation. Automation, AI does the task instead of you. Rule-based, repetitive work, low judgment tasks replaces effort. Telling it. When I talk to you about Ethan, the reason he exists, Ethan handles probably about a good 30% of our day-to-day admin tasks. It's so crazy. Sometimes I just sit here and play chess on my phone and watch him work. It's crazy. Augmentation. AI works alongside of you, amplifying your judgment. Things like co-work works with you. Claude Code work with you. If you create a custom GP the correct way, works with you. So the three things that change fast once you actually do this exercise, you will create an AI that sounds like you. Your outputs will stop feeling generic. Stakeholders will hear you in every email. Everything will sound just like you. Your judgment scales. The wisdoms that's trapped in your head. You remember all of you people, except for Pamela, that was putting that 0.25, that wasn't writing that information down. Guess what? All of that's going to scale because now this is going to, it's going to be, it's like your Bible. Then you become irreplaceable. Now, I will tell you this, just as a little secret. I ain't even going to put the company on blast, but it's in the consulting industry. It's senior consultants that are now retiring out of the company that has mind files that the company is buying or licensing their mind file. What? What do you mean by this? I mean that you are so good at your job that the company, if you want to leave, retire, or you got another position, whatever the case may be, you are so good in that position that they need a piece of you to stay around. I can license my mind file. So that next junior associate, he can click in here and speak to this just like I'm sitting there right next to them. Didn't that just blow your mind? They're doing it. You become irreplaceable. So when they're talking about transformation, you are the reason that they're transforming into AI, because guess what? They got your mind files. Multiply you by 100 other people. Oh, that company is running when you're gone. Guess what? If you could no longer work at an organization, could your replacement recreate your judgment? Mind file says yes. And that's not a threat. That's a legacy. Here, ABC company, I want to move to this position, but I created a mind file based on our processes and procedures and how I work day to day performing XYZ actions. We can load it into our company LLM, and junior associates can go back and forth with it to learn how to do X based on how I think, because you value me, right? So this right here is going to be just as valuable or 10 times more. So with that, feel free to ask any questions or whatever the case may be. Does anybody have any questions? I'm looking at the chat. Feel free to ask in the chat or come off mute, or just give me a comeback, your feedback. What's on your mind?
Chena? I hope I'm saying
Hi,
it correctly. Go ahead,
it's thank you. It's Chana.
Chana. Thank you.
I had a question. I'm glad I put it in the chat so I didn't forget. It was way back in your earlier slides under think, and you were talking about cognitive clarity. And so I was asking, what if there's no cognitive clarity within on your role within the organization? Like I find more often than not that the organization doesn't even know what I do.
Mm, that's deep.
Yeah.
It looks like that's deep. But with that, it seems like to me that you have an opportunity right there to create that
Mm,
scenario.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Personally, that to me, that as soon as you said that, that's lets me know that puts you in a powerful position.
Mm, hmm.
Because imagine that you put that together and um you have the ability to demonstrate what you have done, that it will increase the overall organization in that field that you are working in. That sounds powerful. So
Mm,
I would test the waters a little bit and just go ahead and take the lead and create it.
mm-hmm.
And then,
Okay.
whatever position that you're at, as far as on the scale, I say go one level up and say, hey, this is what I created. What do you think about this?
Mm-hmm. Change my perspective.
Yes, ma'am. But I love
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
I think you are in a great position there, because
Mm,
the reason I say that is we are currently in a climate to where everybody's trying to figure out that next
mm-hmm.
thing. So therefore, this is puts us in a position to actually create that next that becomes a legacy even after you're gone. So I say investigate that a little bit more. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Question. I have a question. So I'm doing this development program, and one of the things they've been trying to teach me is to mirror other people.
Mm,
And so for mind file, how would I mirror the person that I'm engaging without telling you something about them? Like
that's
the AI, I would have to add something around the other person so the output does
yes.
that mirroring, right?
I understand. Let me ask you this question. So, in the mirroring process, are you engaging with the person to gather some information from them in order to do so?
Yes, working with them, trying maybe convincing them to do something or whatever it may be.
Oh, yes. And you can jot down that data. I don't know if you meet with this person virtually or anything like that, but if you do, I utilize this secret all the time. When I'm on Zoom, I record everything and I get that transcript. That transcript is golden because I can just talk. And it gathers information from their perspective. Then I'm building this file based on what they said, and then I put that into AI. Now I just told y'all a secret to how I'm building these agents for these companies. Man, y'all see, you're gonna get me in trouble. But yes. So therefore, wherever when you think about these questions that you're building your own mind file from, um, when you're mirroring a person, just find out key things, and you can actually, do the same for someone else. But that's good though. But it's all in, bad data in, bad data out. So therefore, collect as much data as you can. If you can record them, especially if it's on a transcript, especially through video calls are the best. But now you got a full transcript of everything they all talked about, everything they said, and then voila, I can throw that into a tool, and I can basically, I can create another me just from that scenario. But great question though.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
Anything else? We have time, so let's use the time with Dr. McIlwain. Great topic. Very interesting. Anybody else? John, go ahead. Can't hear you if you're speaking. John, looks like you are muted.
Maybe that's John's AI.
Okay. Anyone else with a comment?
But I'm gonna say if no one else is talking, tell you what I really want to share with everyone. Just kind of something I'm just really going. I'm doing talks a lot. My next engagement, I think they say I'll be in front of 8,000 people. And what's crazy about it is I'm in front of 8,000 people at a mega church talking about AI. And I want to express to everyone the reasons why. If you're watching the news, okay, if you've been watching just over the last couple of months, all of these layoffs, and now there's a messaging out there that's saying, oh, these tools are not working, and the companies are figuring out that it's not working. So I posed a question. I said, if that's the case, where are the rehire metrics based on the layoffs? Does that make sense? If the tools are not working, then if I think Oracle, they laid off 30,000 people. And they say, oh, the tool is not working. I didn't see a rehire thing on anything that even was hiring 15,000 more people. The reason I'm sharing that with you and want you to really drill down into understanding how you can maximize the use of these tools, there are some things they're just not telling you. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Some things, because guess what? It's all of you maximize the use of these AI tools. You know how powerful you would become? It's kind of safe to say that maybe they don't want you to be that powerful. Y'all can blame me for saying that. Y'all can quote me and throw it out there on LinkedIn. This guy said these companies don't want you to be that powerful. Well, hey, it is the truth. And I did find out, and like I said, I don't put these companies on blast, but I'm privy to a lot of information that some companies are training their employees just to copy and paste prompts. So guess what you have the ability to do? Instead of you being the doer, you could be the leader. So I see John said, could you train an AI agent be Ethan? It sounds like through training, you're giving Ethan your mind file, yeah, in an analog way. It's crazy because John, what I was doing with Ethan, what it started off with, I had hired a couple of people that just wasn't cutting it. I'm being honest. It wasn't cutting it, but I need you to think fast. And I'm not always available to answer the call or whatever the case may be. So I started building Ethan to supplement me having another bad hire. It started doing great. I started feeding it more information, not just about me, how I think, the stuff I research. I'm very interested in the latest tech news. I'm very interested in what changed yesterday because if you wake up in the morning, it's something brand new going on. So I need to stay on top of it to where Ethan becomes that person. At 8 a.m. every morning, inside of my email is a summary of everything that's going on in the world of tech. It's a summary It's also telling me the down times of OpenAI, Claude, and all this type of stuff. It became so special to where I had Ethan create some friends that I could give to my clients. So, John, to your point, in an analog way, I think in any information I can feel it because and feel into it because at the end of the day, like Claude has a database what you can upload basically up to 1 million text files into that scenario. 1 million? Can you write what I don't know, a 300-page book on yourself? So, so it's so many different ways that you could do it, and you will blow yourself. You blow your own mind. I tell people this all the time that I'm on both sides of the fence. I'm on the fence of yay AI, and I'm on the other side of the fence like whoa, slow down. I ride that fence every day. So let me see. Melba says, what were some of the major interests from megachurch? Oh, that's a good one. Now I would say this. We got a couple minutes. I promise I won't talk long on this. When I first started talking about AI in 2022, the world was still talking about Bitcoin. So we went around. This was before ChatGTP. ChatGTP came out in the November 2022, saved our lives because we was being posed as the devils by the churches. If you know anything about me, I actually have been a leading church musician for over 30 years. So next thing you know, it was the devil. Then ChatGTP came out, stuff started operating. Then the church market started, the pastors and the spiritual leaders started unsaying to their congregation about these demonic entities from technology simply because a lot of these people got to go to work. Then next thing you know, a church actually came in and utilized AI to handle their typing, their membership counts, their social media. And I did one church, and then it's like boom, boom, boom. All of these other ministers hitting me up. How can I utilize AI? Now we persuade them not to utilize it for the sermon, but we did. If you go look up on just Google Fight AI. Fight AI was from a pastor who has written 7 books around devotionals, and he actually is retiring from like Wells Fargo in IT, but he felt like this information was going to leave all of these books. So we loaded all of these devotionals, 7 books worth, into an AI. And now when you go to his website, you can speak with Fight AI and get the devotionals. This is going to live past him. His books are not in vain. So, and it just keeps building and building. The more and more people are understanding how to utilize the tool and not feel like it's this robot taking over you.
Love
But
it.
yes.
Great question.
Yes, ma'am.
Great session also. Anything else? We do have like a few minutes left. Otherwise, we can just wrap up.